Tonight on Movie Prof's Halloween Horrorthon, we're going to be talking about the Call of Chucky. We get to see the return of Nika, the return of Andy Barclay, in a much bigger role than we did in the last one. Another great surprise at the end. There's going to be some spoilers put throughout this one here, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys right now when I review 2017's The Call of Chucky by Dan Mancini. I'll be right back. So, The Cult of Chucky has been a kind of divisive film among a lot of the fans, and I'm actually really surprised, to be totally honest with you. I actually kind of went in with a little bit lowered expectations because of like a lot of the stuff I'd heard, and I tried to keep away from spoilerish stuff. But a lot of people were complaining online about the film. Now, how did it stack up? A lot of people compared it to things like Seed of Chucky, and which has been considered the worst one. And I'm going to be straight out and honest with you. I don't think Seed is as bad as people make it out to be. Basically, Seed is a more humorous take on the franchise, and it's done more like Don Mancini. It's kind of like it's an insider type of Hollywood type of look in the into making films, and he used Chucky to do that. In a more humorous way, say, than it was done in New Nightmare. But again, it was a very meta approach to the whole thing. Now, I just want to get that one out of the way because usually people compare. They say, "Well, this is worse than Seed," or "This is not as good as Seed." Seed's kind of its own beast, and has nothing to do with this film. They all like going together. This is probably the most like self-referential film when it comes to like referencing other movies in the franchise. You're going to get a lot of fan service in this one here. Now, much like the Curse of Chucky, this one is set in one area because basically they're doing these shot on video type of things. So, and it's not, trust me, the quality of the film or anything that's not affected at all. But it gives it a more intimate setting. And I like that. So I liked it with Curse of Chucky. They used kind of like a gothic feel to it with that with the old house, and has some great shots and some interesting deaths in there as well. Curse of Chucky kind of reminded me of like when Puppet Master was really good. When it was like we're talking about the first two Puppet Masters, except like even better than that. Now, Call of Chucky is its own beast. Now, what's really cool about this is that we got Fiona Dorff back playing Nika again. So it's been a while since the events, the Curse of Chucky, and she is she's the only person alive in a house full of dead people. They've taken her, they put her into an asylum. She's getting shock treatments. Her psychiatrist seems really, really sketchy right from the beginning, and we're seeing her as she's like going from the hardcore asylum into like a medium security one. So that's kind of where our journey starts with that. Meanwhile, we find out that Andy, who we saw like in the after credit sequence of Curse of Chucky, where he blasted the Chucky when Chucky got up to kill him, actually keeps Chucky now, just the head that's left. And he's been slowly like torturing the doll, and like kind of burning his head and like cutting into it. He's working out his therapy through the torture of the doll. Now, the story is going to follow Nika a bit. We're going to basically find out that she now believes that she committed the murders. The doctors convinced her that, but slowly things start to happen. And it plays it kind of psychologically at first. It makes you kind of wonder and guess, is she crazy now? Is Andy crazy? We're seeing Chucky dolls all over the place. We're seeing like one is brought in for group therapy. We see the Chucky doll that's actually speaking to Andy, and we wonder for a bit whether like it's actually speaking to Andy or maybe it's all in Andy's mind. Then Tiffany comes and she gives a doll to Nika, another Chucky doll to Nika that she says Annie you used for therapy. Annie's a little girl from the Curse of Chucky. Before she died, Nika actually tries to kill herself after she hears about Annie's death. Chucky walks in and heals her. He sews her up. He's like, not yet, not going to happen this easy type of thing. What you're going to see throughout this film is a lot of really gory deaths. The gore is definitely gone up a notch in this. There's some really interesting deaths here. All the characters I found were kind of fun. It kind of gave me that Ginger Snaps 2 type of vibe to it, where it's basically set in the asylum. We're getting to learn slowly about these characters. One girl is obsessed with one of the Chucky dolls and pretty much has that as her baby and actually breastfeeds the doll. We get to slowly find out her story. There's another guy that she kind of meets, and he got a chemistry right away, and they kind of hook up. And we afterwards find out what his mental issue is. There's a girl that's just really aggressive, and we don't really get a lot on her. There's a character there that's kind of was really comical. The one actually first speaks to Chucky, and over the phone, and she walks around basically in this like long white nightgown, asking people if they can see her because she died years ago, and she's a ghost. She's not, but she kind of thinks she is, and she gets really upset when people don't acknowledge the fact that she's a spirit. It's a very quirky film, and but it plays a lot. It plays with a lot of darkness. The psychiatrist has his own little mental illness as well, and we're slowly seeing things happen. We're getting it from Nika's point of view, and we're not quite sure at first if we can trust Nika's point of view. What's really cool is we start to see that, and not everything's explained in this. Like, there are things that are going to happen in this film, and you're going to be at the end of this film, you're not going to quite know how we got to this point, how this happened. And that's not a bad thing. One of the things that I complain most about with a lot of horror films lately are they are over-explained. Rob Zombie's Halloween is a perfect example of that. Like, I know a lot of people love that film, but for me, you take the scariness away from it when you kind of explain out Michael Myers and this, he's a little kid and he had a hard life, and then he started killing animals and blah 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 blah. His mom killed herself. It really takes the horror away from the character. It's a supernatural thing that's going on here. This really goes a long ways in actually bringing it forward, and actually more so than some of the earlier ones, pretty much like cementing that this can be a franchise that keeps on going, that definitely has legs in it. The introduce a supernatural aspect. Now we're getting into spoiler territory. There's really serious ones here, so just to let you know before we go any further, that now Chucky's able to transfer his conscience into different dolls. So basically, at one point, there are 3 Chucky dolls going around, and that becomes really important. Andy Barclay is back, and he's just like he's one badass scene at the end of the last one. He's become that Tommy Jarvis character. He's not quite there yet, but he's like Tommy Jarvis in Part 5, where he's becoming there. He's not like as shell shocked as Tommy Jarvis in 5 is. He's got kind of the street smarts and the kick ass, the kind of badassness of Part 6 Tommy Jarvis, with the kung fu-ishness, not the kung fu-ishness, but like the badassness of the Part 5 one. So we're getting to see like survivors in this one. The survivors are starting to come up. It's something that I've always wanted to see Friday the 13th do, is like to draw on the past, on like they've had so many people like Final Girls and Jarvis. Now I really wanted to see Friday the 13th actually like go dip into that well and get like a survivor storyline, where basically they're coming up against people that actually fought Jason, that have survived, that are coming up against Jason again. This is a storyline that I've always wanted to see done. Now they're starting to do this in Child's Play. They're starting to do this really big with an ending credits, after credits sequence that really excited me, because Child's Play 2 is my favorite of the Child's Play franchise, bar none. I've always really liked that one. I like the cast, Garrett Graham, of course. Just some amazing stuff. But this one here really, really knocked it out of the park for me. I've heard people say things like they didn't like the writing of it, they didn't like the casting, they thought the acting was too hammy. In my own personal opinion, I got to be honest with you, I disagree with all of that. I think if anything, Don Mancini wrote a tighter script, even tighter, probably like Curse. I'd say it was a scarier script, but Cult is the type of movie that if you're making a franchise, if you're going forward, and you're thinking of the fans. There's going to be a bit of fan service. There's going to be stuff that can make your franchise last, can make you go for 2-3 movies, and maybe even more. This is exactly what you do. This is exactly what you want to do. I was entertained all the way through. There were times like, how is he doing this? How can he like now do this? And there's like a sequence near the end where he transforms himself into another body, and and I heard complaints like, "Oh, I can, it's been, it's been 5 or 6 movies. It's been 6 movies. And how come he's just doing it now?" Well, this is the journey that we got. This is a Don Mancini's taking the journey. He's been there since the beginning. He's from number one right on down through, and just like the journey we got with the Phantasm films, staying with basically with the same creator all throughout, Don Coscarelli. We're getting another Don Mancini, staying with the entire franchise all throughout, and that's really been an exciting thing for me to actually see how it's grown. There hasn't been a bad for me. There hasn't been a bad Child's Play film. I've liked every single one of them. Like some I'll like to a better extent than other ones. There are some fantastic deaths in this one, by the way. There's one with the girl with glass. It's just so well done. There's the deaths in this one are fantastic. Fiona Dourif, you really get to see why she was chosen to do this role and why it couldn't be anybody else but her playing the role of Nick. And by the end of this film, you can see exactly why it couldn't be anybody else but her playing that role. And she looks and sounds enough like her dad that when the big scene happens, it's a good payoff. We know there's more to come. We've got the bad guys. We've got the Call of Chucky. We've got Chucky. He's got the ability to put himself into different into different dolls. Who knows where they can go with that? Like aside from the Chucky doll, there may be other dolls that we can see come into the franchise. We got we got Charles in a body now. We have Tiffany. We have the doll that like basically, so we can see that they can actually be in like human host bodies and have like their essence in dolls as well. That's where I think they went with the ending. Now, I've heard some people say basically that in the Tiffany doll at the end of the film, that they think that there may be Annie's soul that's in there. Either way, I think that it's interesting to see where they're going to go with this. It was a blast. I gotta say, for the haters out there, I don't know what you were expecting. I don't know what you thought you were going to get. But for me, this is everything that I want in a Child's Play film. This is everything I want when I'm seeing like a creator actually growing his franchise. It's growing. It's sticking true to the to Child's Play. It's sticking true to what he set up. It's adding new layers onto it each time. We're getting to see characters that are able to grow, and the roles in the franchise are changing along the way. What more can you ask for something like that? There's so many complaints when you see movies that just stick and basically do the same thing over and over again, like the early Friday 13th, the Paramount films. A lot of them basically were saying, "Oh well, it's the same thing, it's a cookie cutter thing all over and over again." And then later on, when they tried to do different things with them, the people complain, "No, it's gotten too far away from what the films were in the first place." Now this has gotten a great combination of both. So you get development within the franchise, you get some new rules, some new supernatural aspects come into it, and you still get the feel of what the franchise is supposed to be. Don Mancini has never shied away from doing some of the humorous aspects of the films as well. He's never shied away from doing the supernatural parts of it. He definitely doesn't shy away from the gore. And if you see the unrated cut of this, by the way, then I do recommend it. It does have some great gore in there. And not in a way where it's like it's overly gory, just gore for gore's sake. It suits it. There's some great kills in this one here. I'm an '80s fan, so I grew up with Tom Savini and Bushner and guys like that. Like I grew up like watching their movies, so seeing movies like The Prowler, and I've seen movies like get wimpier, like especially in the '90s. When everything was PG'd and like there was no forget like special effects and stuff like that. Now, how did I find the CGI effects that were used? I didn't mind them. It's not, it all can't be done practical now. That's the way it is. They have to work within the confines of the budget that they got. Did it ever take me out of the film? No, not at all. The actors, the characters, and the script was done well enough that all throughout it, I just pretty much had a blast with the film. And I put on I did put on Facebook. That I actually liked Call of Chucky, and I had some people that was like, "No, how can you like Call of Chucky?" or "That's a horrible film." No, I respectfully disagree. I think that Call of Chucky is exactly where Don Mancini needs to go to keep this series going, and keep it out of reboot territory, which is where what I want. I want to let's keep this going the way that's going. Let's keep it out of reboot territory. Brad Dourif is a fantastic. Still, he's doing the voice. He's fantastic. We got Fiona Dourif now, able to help out with some of the kind of the cool, creepier stuff. Nika's character has definitely changed. She's evolved in this film here, especially at the end of the film. Tiffany is still there. We always get back Jennifer Tilly. I got to say, props to Jennifer Tilly for actually coming back and doing like film after film. Not a lot of people would come back and do these here films. Jennifer Tilly is a damn good actress. She's a quality actress. To see that she's actually, she's a fan of of this stuff, that she comes back and she does this stuff. It's just incredible. Again, this one here was shot in Canada. I think this one here was shot in Manitoba. So it's kind of exploitation. I'm gonna, as a Canadian, I'm gonna claim it a little bit there. I had a blast. So for my first movie that I watched, and I'm not doing it as the 31 days of Halloween. I'm going to be watching 31 movies over the next few weeks for Halloween or more. So that's the way that I'm doing right now. If you look behind me, you're going to see some stuff that is probably going to be on my list of stuff that I'm going to review. Movies like Slugs, Initiation, Stage Fright, 976 Evil, Strange Behavior. Even Tim Ritter's Truth or Dare 3. So you're going to see a lot of different weird stuff reviewed here on my channel. But we're starting off with something that a lot of people have asked me my opinion on, because it's been kind of divisive, and my opinion is this is a fantastic sequel. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Movie Prof. Happy Halloween month, and I like to say it's time for tea, but I'm going to grab hot chocolate right now because I'm going to watch another movie so I can make another review for you guys right here tonight. Have a great evening.